In my case, I was drinking a lot and I was about 50 pounds overweight. And one night I was out drinking Jack Daniels and Coke, playing pool with friends. I went home, went to sleep, and around 3 a.m. I woke up to this excruciating pain on the big toe. I couldn't even put my bed sheet on it. I had to take it out. And I thought it was some type of sprain, and I was gonna hop on to my doctor's office the next day. And I walked into his office and I told him, I think I have a sprain on my foot or on the big toe. And he quickly diagnosed me as having gout.
Welcome to Beyond the Pain, the podcast that explores what it really takes to break free from chronic pain and reclaim your life. I'm your host, Leigh Brandon, and someone who's spent over 2 decades helping people get to the root cause of pain that no one else could explain. Whether you're dealing with long-term back issues, joint pain, nerve discomfort, or mysterious symptoms that just won't go away, this show is here to help you go deeper. Because beyond the pain, there's clarity, strength, and power waiting for you. Each week, we'll uncover the physical, emotional, biochemical, and energetic causes of pain and how to transform them. Let's dive deep into this week's episode. In today's episode, we're taking a deep dive into gout, a condition that's often misunderstood, oversimplified, and in many cases, poorly managed. My guest today is Spiro Koulouris, and in this conversation, we explore why gout isn't just about uric acid levels or finding the right medication, but about understanding the lifestyle, dietary, and metabolic factors that drive the condition in the first place. Spiro explains why relying on medication alone can be dangerous, how diet and lifestyle choices directly influence uric acid production and clearance, and why ignoring these factors often leads to recurring flare-ups and long-term complications. We also discuss some of the common myths around gout, what people often miss when they're first diagnosed, and what actually needs to change if someone wants lasting relief rather than just short-term symptom control. So if someone you know struggles with gout, or you've been told it's just something that you have to manage forever, this episode offers a much deeper and more empowering perspective. So let's get into it. Spiro, welcome to Beyond the Pain. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me, Lee. Looking forward to this interview.
Yeah, my pleasure. So I always like to start at the beginning. So could you share with the audience your own personal story? And in particular, what was it like being diagnosed with gout? And how did that experience lead you into the work that you're doing today?
So in my case, gout struck me at the age of 26, which is rather young. Usually gout affects folks over 50, all right? Majority male, about 75% male, 25% female. In my case, I was drinking a lot and I was about 50 pounds overweight. And one night I was out drinking Jack Daniels and Coke, playing pool with friends. I went home, went to sleep, and around 3 a.m. I woke up to this excruciating pain on the big toe. I couldn't even put my bed sheet on it. I had to take it out. And I thought it was some type of sprain, and I was gonna hop on to my doctor's office the next day. And I walked into his office and I told him, I think I have a sprain on my foot or on the big toe. And he quickly diagnosed me as having gout. And I did not know what gout was. He explained to me what it was, that I had high uric acid levels in the blood. And we did blood work. And sure enough, I was diagnosed with gout at the age of 26. I remember being crippled for about 3 weeks. I couldn't walk. I had to use crutches because it also struck the big knee at the same time after a week, I believe. And it was a very painful experience, I remember. And then I basically took the necessary medication to alleviate the pain and inflammation from the body so I could get back to normal, which took about 3 weeks. And then I decided to start learning more about gout. So I went online, visited a lot of sites, but there wasn't any blogs out there or any websites on the patient's point of view. It was just medical studies and so on. and I decided after a while to start blogging about gout after doing all this research on studies. I broke it down and simplified it. Um, and basically on my site, I decided to write about what foods to eat, what to avoid, and that has helped gout sufferers over time. So that's basically how my story began with gout. And right now it's under control. It's been, I don't know how many years I haven't had an attack, and that's pretty much it so far.
Mm. If you were to explain gout to someone who's never experienced it, how would you describe what it feels like?
So it's basically everybody eats food, and food has what we call purines. Purines
Mm.
is a chemical compound, and some foods have more purines than others. So the big dangerous foods for gout are usually red meat, um, seafood, alcohol, processed foods, sugar, high fructose corn syrup, right? These type of ingredients are high in purines. So when your body breaks it down, it creates a waste product called uric acid that comes out of your urine, right? But if you produce too much and not enough gets excreted from the urine, it crystallizes in the joints,
Mm.
and then you get a gout attack. And that's what gout consists of, basically, is your kidneys not being able to properly and efficiently process uric acid out of the body. So the excess crystallizes in the joints and you get a gout attack. And that's pretty much what the definition of gout is.
But what does it feel like for someone that's never experienced it? How
Probably
would
the
you
most,
describe it?
everybody says it's the most painful experience. The
Mm.
most, think of, you cannot have any pressure. Usually attacks about 50% of the population on the big toe. So picture wearing shoes, you cannot walk properly, you're limping. In bed, you can't put any bed sheet. It's that sensitive to any weight whatsoever.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had it, but I kind of feel like I imagine it would feel like having little shards of broken glass on the inside of the joint.
Yeah, that's a good description. Yeah. Very good
Yeah, I
description.
mean, I don't want to get too graphic, but I remember once I was on holiday in on the island of Ibiza, just off the coast of Spain, and I was sunbathing all day, and I got sand in a rather delicate place in the body, and that
Mm.
was definitely one of the most painful experiences of my life. I couldn't even walk,
Wow.
and I would imagine that having that in a joint would feel kind of similar in terms of the pain. I mean, this wasn't in a joint; obviously, it was in a very delicate part of the body, um, and that was really, really excruciatingly painful. Um, and obviously, well, not obviously, because I haven't clearly explained where it was, but it was in an area where I couldn't get to it. Um, and fortunately for me, the girl I was dating at the time was very good and managed to actually get most of it out for me. But that was a horrendous experience. So I can only imagine what it must be like to have gout, and you know, because obviously the most common place to get it is in the big toe.
Hmm.
Not being able to walk, would probably, I would guess, would be the main, uh, I guess, side effect of having that as an issue. But like you were saying, you couldn't even put, if you're in bed, you wouldn't even want to put the bedclothes on it, right?
That's right. Yeah. Any
Yeah,
pressure whatsoever. Yeah.
yeah. What kind of ways? I mean, I've mentioned walking and things like that, but what ways did it kind of limit you in life when you're suffering from gout?
Well, thankfully, I had an office job, so I could basically use my crutches and sit on my chair at the office and work. But if you have a manual job, then you have to stay at home, right? So you're losing pay, and it makes it difficult for those that do manual labor work. Um, yeah, I would say that's pretty much it.
But how did it affect you in particular?
Well, listen, it demoralizes you a bit
Mm,
because you're like, why me at such a young age?
mm,
In my case is unique because I had a condition called minor thalassemia when I was born,
mm-hmm,
and that's what my doctor claims could be the root cause of me
Okay.
having gout at such a young age. So
That's
it's
also
basically,
common in people from Greece, right?
that's right. So it's like a
Yeah,
blood disorder, and maybe the kidneys work too hard in my case, and I developed gout at such a young age. But I was, again, overweight. I remember eating a lot of Big Mac Trios at McDonald's, drinking a lot of alcohol. So I wasn't taking care of myself. But it definitely demoralizes you because you have people that will make fun of you too, like gout. Oh, my grandmother has gout. You have gout at such a young age, right? So yeah, there's a stigma attached to it, that's for sure.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, for me, um, and I know this sounds strange to some people when I say this, but I look at pain as being a gift,
Mm.
right? It's a signal normally from your subconscious mind to your conscious mind that there's something not right. And it sounds to me like in your personal situation, it was your body's way of saying, the Big Macs, the Coca-Cola, the alcohol, they're not really doing you any good. That's what it sounds like to me. Would that be accurate, do you think?
Yes, yes, it was a consequence and a symptom of that. Yeah, definitely, of that behavior.
So in a way, obviously it's not, not a pleasant experience to go through. In a way, for you, it was a gift because it enabled you to lead
Yeah,
a
changed
healthier
my life.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from everything you've seen, both personally and through, the gout community, what would you say? I know you've mentioned a few already, but what would you say are the most common triggers that tend to set off a gout attack?
So the most common triggers are usually food-based.
Mm,
So the top five, I would say, is alcohol. So most gout sufferers will tell me alcohol causes their gout attacks. I would say second would be red meat or a lot of meat. Because think of meat, it takes about 90 hours for the body to break it down. Whereas if you eat vegetables, it takes anywhere between 6 to 10 hours to break it down. So it burns clean in your body. So it strains the kidneys. And when it's too much protein strains the kidneys, you produce too much uric acid in the body. Number three, I would say sugary foods, processed foods fall in that category because a lot of them contain high fructose corn syrup, and that's high in purines. And then seafood, so think crab, lobster,
mm,
shrimp, that spikes uric acid levels. Um, and at number five, I would say organ meats. Avoid
mm-hmm,
organ meats. Very, very bad for the kidneys to
mm,
process and break down. So those would be the top five triggers. So
mm,
in the West, if you notice, it's what we call the Western diet. It's high in protein. Too much meat causes elevates uric acid, and the kidneys can't be working so hard every single day trying to break down those purines, and that's what causes gout. And I know in the UK, I've read a lot of studies also. It's on the rise with the youth as well, but more due to alcohol there.
mm,
But it's more of a Western phenomenon with our diet, that's for sure.
mm. Yes, I mean, purines is a really interesting subject. I was first introduced to the concept back in 2004. So I took training in something called metabolic typing,
Mm,
which is where you help people establish the right diet for them because everybody's different.
yeah.
And are you familiar with the concept,
Of what, the
metabolic
diet?
typing? Yeah,
The
metabolic typing.
I've heard of the custom diet, but not that term, no.
Okay. So to make it kind of really simple, you can say there's three different types of people and
Hmm.
we require different types of diets. So there's one called the slow oxidizer, and they tend to do very well on a more vegetable based diet and a small amount of, let's call it animal based foods, proteins. And on the other end of the spectrum, there's fast oxidizers that tend to do really well on high levels of animal foods and a small amount of plant based foods. And then there are people called mixed oxidizers that are somewhere in the middle. So roughly, a 50-50 split. And those that are fast oxidizers, and I would say, in the 21, almost 22 years that I've been using metabolic typing with clients, I would probably estimate 80% of people that I've worked with have been fast oxidizers. They actually require a high purine content in their diet for them to be at their best. So, I always look at things as everyone's different. And I'm guessing that there might be people, and you've kind of mentioned it yourself, is that some people might genetically be more susceptible as well to something like
Yes.
gout. You deserve to feel in control of your health and not overwhelmed by it. Most people are given exercises, medications, or generic advice without ever being told why their pain exists. My approach is different. I help you understand your own body, what it's reacting to, and how to create the conditions for healing. If you're ready for that level of clarity and support, you can book a discovery call at bodycheck.co.uk/consultation. Now, back to the show.
Yes. So you have a defect in your DNA, right? And that affects it for those people. And in gout, there's two numbers, I forget, but you could easily find them online, that are DNA defects. So you're more susceptible if you eat too much protein, meat, purines, that you get gout. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking myself and also lots of people I've worked with and also lots of people I know who eat a high purine diet, lots of red meat, lots of, things like liver, and yet they're really healthy and no gout at all. But then obviously there are, as you mentioned, there are other things like fructose and alcohol and sugar and probably seed oils. I would imagine you could probably throw into that one as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
But yes, I don't think anyone questions the fact that, red meat does create uric acid. There's no doubt about that. But it might also be how well people could clear it from the body. And again, people that perhaps are slow oxidizers might find it more difficult to clear uric acid from the body if they are eating, well, that's probably the wrong amount of high purine proteins.
Yeah, yeah, but also meat is there's nothing wrong with eating meat, but don't eat it 3 times a day. Eat it once a day, and if you look at the Mediterranean diet, it's not there's meat involved, right? Fresh fish and so on, but it's more plant-based, and that's what if you look at the blue zones, to live longer. It's more plant-based with a touch of meat on a daily basis. I would say 4 to 6 ounces daily. Those are the people that live the longest and disease-free, right? If you look at the blue zone. So that's what the data says.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think part of that is also, where did your ancestry evolve? Because if you're from the Mediterranean area, you're going to do well on a Mediterranean diet, right? If you're from Norway or Sweden, you're probably going to require more of a high purine diet because that's what would have been available, 2,000-3,000 years ago. You don't get
Yeah.
vegetables growing for 5-6 months of the year in places like that, right?
That's right. Yeah.
But yes, I'm sure the diet comes into that, but sunshine probably comes into that as well, right? In the Mediterranean, you get a lot of sunshine.
And olive oil. Olive oil is like
Yeah.
a superfood. So
Yeah, for sure. So I know you also talk about gout is also linked to other serious conditions or conditions that often go hand in hand with gout. Things like kidney problems, heart issues, obesity, etc. How do those kind of link together?
So if you suffer from gout, you're at a higher risk if you don't take control of it, of developing other diseases or complications, right? So diabetes is one. Usually, gout sufferers are at a higher risk of developing diabetes down the road if they don't take care of their diet. Another complication is rheumatoid arthritis. So gout is in the arthritis family, but then it could also expand and you could also get osteoarthritis or rheumatoid arthritis. So you're more prone at a higher risk of developing those diseases. Um, and then, I mean, usually it goes hand in hand. High blood pressure, you're at a higher risk as well. So the important lesson here is you got to make changes once you're diagnosed
Mm.
with gout. You can't say, okay, I'm going to take the doctor's medication. A lot of doctors will tell you take allopurinol. You could eat whatever you want. That's fine. You could eat whatever you want, but down the road, you're probably going to increase your dosage of allopurinol because your uric acid will keep going higher and higher, and your risk of getting another complication like diabetes or rheumatoid arthritis. So that's where you have to make a change. Lose the weight if you have excess weight. Start
Mm.
avoiding the foods that spike uric acid. Join the gym. Start exercising, rebuilding those joints, and so on, and change your lifestyle.
Mm. I guess, you mentioned exercise there. I guess it must be quite difficult when you're suffering from gout to think, oh yeah, I'm going to go and exercise, because I'd imagine it would be quite painful to exercise.
Well, no, not during gout. You wait until your gout attack subsides, and then you start exercising. So exercise, because when gout attacks the joints over and over, basically you get some minor bone erosion. So
Mm.
you definitely want to rebuild those joints, because gout will start in the big toe, but if you don't take control of it, goes up to the knee. Your next attack will be in the knee, and then rises back to the elbows. A lot of people will say they'll get on the elbows. After that, in the hands, in the back. So it rises in the body, right? If you don't take
Mm.
control of it. So exercise helps to make you stronger, rebuild your bones, cartilage, and so on, right? So it's essential that you keep the weight off, and it also helps lower uric acid. So it's
Mm.
a win-win across the board
Mm.
by doing some weight training, exercise. And if you don't want to go to the gym and do some weightlifting, go swimming, do some low impact exercises like yoga, tai chi, swimming, cycling, and so on.
Mm. Yeah, I was thinking actually, when I was suggesting, if you've got an attack of gout, it's going to be quite painful. Probably the last thing you're even thinking about is exercise. But actually, something like a swimming pool would probably be quite a good option, even when you do have an
Yeah.
attack.
Yeah, if you have an attack, yeah. Well, it's gonna hurt walking there, that's all. But once you're in the water, doing a bit of swimming, is gonna have a very low impact on the
Mm.
affected joint. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Have you looked into, there's lots of new, I say new, some of them are ancient really, but let's just say become popular in terms of treatment modalities. And I've had quite a few people on the podcast talking about these things recently, but things like, infrared sauna, cold plunging, red light therapy, things like that. Have you looked into that at all?
No, there hasn't been any gout sufferers that have written to me about those type of therapies, and there hasn't been any studies as of yet. Um, Maybe the red light therapy. I could see some potential there.
Mm.
With the cold plunges, I mean, yeah, that's a full body effect. Uh, but not enough to get rid of uric acid, that's for
Mm.
sure. It's more
Mm.
topical, right?
Yeah.
Topical relief, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, the other things you mentioned before, I would say, no, they're more the foundation. The things I'm talking about, they're a bit more of an add-on, really.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
listen, if you have a gout attack, I recommend if you're the joint that's inflamed, you could soak it in water and put some Epsom salt and let it soak with Epsom salt. That's a popular remedy. Others will mix water with apple cider vinegar and dip their joint there, and they get some relief from that as well. Others do the cabbage roll up right on the joint. They say they get some relief there. Turmeric. Those are the popular topical natural remedies for gout.
mm. Yeah. The other one I was thinking of as well that might be useful, and again, I don't know if anyone's ever tried it, but castor oil.
Yeah, castor oil. I think I have a few gout sufferers that have told me about that. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you
Yeah.
heat it up and you
Yeah.
surround it, because it can help draw things out. So if you've got
Yeah.
crystals in there, it can actually help, well, potentially,
Yeah.
could potentially draw them out. Yeah, interesting. It genuinely frustrates me how many people are told their pain is in their head or just age. Pain isn't random and it always has causes. One of the most overlooked is diet. Everyday foods quietly trigger inflammation and keep people stuck. When you remove those triggers, pain often improves faster than expected. The Pain-Free Plate shows you 7 foods that support healing. And you can download it now at bodycheck.co.uk/pain-free-plate. All right, let's continue with the episode. Yeah, just going back to the fact that, you know, you do commonly see gout with other what might be considered serious conditions. I think that comes back to the fact that, you know, whatever's causing the gout is potentially just causing the same, well, not the same issues, but it's causing those other issues, right? So if you're drinking alcohol, you know, eating processed sugar, eating seed oils, eating too much red meat, etc., possibly even things like, you know, not getting to bed on time, you know, the body's just not going to function well. So the body's just setting off alarm clocks, you know, whether it's high blood pressure or excess weight or gout, they're all just another way of the subconscious mind trying to tell the conscious mind, hey, look, you need to sort things out here, because if you don't, things are going to get a lot worse, right? And I think sometimes, you know, the way the body works is that, you know, you think of a baseball analogy, you know, your gout might be strike one, you know, high blood pressure might be strike two, right? And then the next symptom, strike three. And if you keep going, I mean, obviously in baseball, you only get 3 strikes, but in
Yeah.
life, you probably get a few more. But if you don't listen, or if you don't, you know, have an inquisitive mind and think about what's causing this, because I know and I understand the temptation is to go to someone and say, take my pain away, right? But actually, what it's trying to say to you is you need to address something here, because something's not quite right. And if you don't address the root cause, you will get a much more serious problem further down the line. You know, yes, like, you know, you mentioned you can take medication, but that's not getting to the root cause of the problem. That's masking the symptoms, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So if someone listening now has just had their first gout attack, what would you say to them right now to help them take control and not feel overwhelmed?
Well, start by drinking a lot of water if you're suffering from an attack, at least 12 glasses a day to flush out excess uric acid. That's a quick remedy. After that, listen, you're better off going to your doctor and getting the necessary medication, at least to clear the crystals as quickly as possible. So, for gout, there's basically 2 medications. One is colchicine. Colchicine gets rid of the crystals immediately within a couple of days, and you get rid of the inflammation. Allopurinol is for the long-term treatment of gout to make sure you keep your uric acid levels in check. So, doctor will prescribe you colchicine. You're going to get rid of the crystals. You'll be able to walk again. Then you got to start focusing on your diet. What are the changes you're going to make? You're going to start eating more of a plant-based diet. I recommend in my book 80% of your daily calories should be complex carbohydrates, so vegetables, legumes, some fruit, beans for protein, 100% whole grain pastas, rices, breads. These foods burn clean and the kidneys don't get strained. 10% of your daily calories can be protein, so lean cuts of meat, so lean cuts of chicken, chicken breast, turkey, fish with scales, if you're going to have fish. Red meat is fine, but trim the fat. Lean cuts, so 4 to 6 ounces daily, and 10% of your final daily calorie allowance can be fat, so Greek yogurt, butter, cheese, milk, cheeses, and so on. So it's the 20% that will get gout sufferers in trouble. It's the animal-based foods, which are fat and protein. So that's where the kidneys work harder to break down purines and excrete uric acid. So that's where they have to be careful. And with beverages, drink only water, teas and coffee, no alcohol, no sugary beverages, and so on. Uh, don't fry. Fry is horrible for your health, first of all, and bad for the kidneys as well to break down. So do not fry your food. Bake it, boil it, barbecue it. That's the safest way to eat your meat. Uh, and no seed oils, like you mentioned. So I advocate on that as well. So, and if you have excess weight, make sure you lose the excess weight. Go back to your ideal weight. So if that involves working out, you work out, whatever, do whatever you like. If you don't want to go to the gym, get a Fitbit, start walking 10,000 steps at least a day, but do some type of physical activity to lose the weight. And then once you remain your ideal weight, you'll have uric acid in check, more controlled. With your diet, it'll be more controlled as well if you follow those steps, and you should be able to lead a normal, healthy life again.
Yeah. Just thinking about my own diet, and I'm just thinking, based on what you've just said, if someone's got gout, you wouldn't want to eat my diet because it's about 90% animal
Yeah,
based from
yeah.
calories. But then there's no alcohol, there's no seed oils, there's no processed sugar. It's just the highest
Well, there's
quality
a
kind of.
big part of the population that eat a lot of meat. They have hyperuricemia, which is high uric acid, but they're not symptomatic. So in your case, you're not symptomatic.
Have you looked into whether oxalates could potentially play a role in gout?
Specifically, like what?
So oxalates creates a similar. So when oxalates breaks down, it becomes like crystals in the body, and they've been known to get into the joints and cause what sounds to me like gout. So there's a really good book called Toxic Superfoods by Sally Newton, who's been on the show, and she talks.
But oxalates are a compound of uric acid.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's just a different term.
Yeah. It's interesting because because oxalates come from plant-based foods, they don't come from animal-based
No,
foods.
they all have purines. All foods have purines. It's just they have less than meat. So, but at the end of the day, eating a salad is not going to cause you a gout attack. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think it tends to be a problem in people that are vegan and don't eat anything else but plant-based
That must
foods.
be a very small percentage of the population, then.
I don't know. I've never looked into it, but most of the people I've come across that have problem with oxalates were either vegans or people who have just switched from being vegan. But yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I just want to share my screen for a second. So I did a little research this morning. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, you see that on the screen?
Yes, well-known causes of gout.
Yeah, so I just thought I'd just have a little search this morning and just see what it came up with. So this is pretty much what you were saying.
Yeah.
So high purine foods, alcohol, sugar and fructose, obesity and metabolic syndrome. It's got certain medications, so diuretics, low-dose aspirin.
Those can be triggers, yes.
Dehydration. And again, you mentioned about drinking lots of water.
Yes.
And then I come up with some lesser known ones, which I thought was quite interesting. So poor kidney function, but I guess that could be chicken or egg as well, right? If you're overloading the kidneys as well, that's a bit of a chicken or egg. Low grade inflammation. Again, that could be, coming from all sources, but generally a lot of low grade inflammation comes from the gut for a lot of people. But again, that's going to come back to diet. And again, the next one, gut dysbiosis. So again, most uric acid is cleared by the kidneys, but gut bacteria also play a role.
Yes.
So again, that's where what diet is so important. Leaky gut. So again, we're looking at the gut and immune reactivity. So gut permeability contributes to systemic inflammation, which aggravates gout flares. So there's a lot of gut health, nutrition things in here. Heavy metal toxicity. I mean, if you live on planet Earth, you've almost certainly got heavy metal toxicity today. Lead poisoning is a classic cause of gout. Other metals may impair kidney function and increase oxidative stress. Exposure to environmental chemicals. They can increase inflammation, impair detoxification pathways, and interfere with uric acid excretion. That's a big one for me. There's just so many environmental toxins in our environment today. Sleep apnea, so hypoxia, which is low oxygen, increases uric acid production. This is a hidden cause of in overweight individuals or even some athletes. High levels of stress, so it raises cortisol, impairs kidney function, increases inflammation, all of which predispose to gout attacks. Rapid weight loss or fasting, so this increases breakdown of body tissues, which leads to sudden uric acid spikes. High oxalate intake. It's interesting. I hadn't even seen that when I mentioned it earlier. So some individuals with oxalate sensitivity experience overlapping issues because oxalates and urate compete for excretion channels. Thyroid disorders, both hypo and hyperthyroidism, interfere with kidney filtration. Methylation issues, so poor methylation impairs the breakdown of nucleotides, purines, increase in uric acid production. So again, that's potentially for some people, that's a genetic issue. Food chemicals and additives. So some people react to MSGs, nitrates, artificial sweeteners. These can trigger the systemic inflammation that can bring on a flare. Vitamin A toxicity. Again, I've had someone on my podcast talking about vitamin A toxicity. So this is excess retinol or vitamin A, which can be from high intake or supplementation, can stress the liver, influence metabolic pathways, and contribute to inflammatory conditions, sometimes misdiagnosed as gout. Another big subject that I've got an episode coming out on in the next month or so, electromagnetic fields and electrostress. This is emerging, but relevance to your audience. EMF exposure increases oxidative stress. Oxidative stress increases uric acid production. Uric acid, as an antioxidant, leads to the body producing more uric acid when stressed. This may partly explain why some people get gout even with a good diet. Low vitamin C intake. So vitamin C helps increase uric acid excretion. Low intake leads to impaired clearance. Trauma or injury to a joint. So even local trauma, like stubbing your toe, can precipitate a flare at a specific joint due to local inflammation. And then gout often hits at night or in cold environments because lower temperatures favor crystal formation.
90% of the causes you just mentioned there are covered on my website, on the blog.
Right. Yeah. I just thought that was really interesting because, I've not looked into gout too much. I've had a few clients a long time ago that had gout. I used to use a software package called Food Pharmacy. When I was using it, it was only available on a CD-ROM, and you had to use a Windows laptop. You couldn't use it on a Mac. So in 2010, when I switched to a Mac for a little while, I can't remember what the software is called now, where you can actually run Windows off of a Mac. Parallels, that's what it's called.
Yes.
And I did use it for a while, but it was just slowing up my machine so much. In the end, I stopped using it, which I kind of regret because I've lost the CD-ROM now. And the software is still available now, but you subscribe and it's quite expensive. It's quite expensive to use it. But what I would do is I'd get a client and you put in, okay, what's their metabolic type? So you put the metabolic type in, you write down any symptoms, or there's check boxes. So there'll be a checkbox for gout as an example. And you check the boxes of any of the symptoms that they're suffering from. And then the system puts a diet out for them. So it basically gives them a food list. And the main thing I do remember from that software is when you press the gout button, the red meat did disappear, as I'm sure sugar did as well. But that was a great bit of software. Um,
Interesting. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I say it's still available. I know the guy who originally produced it retired. He retired off to Hawaii, so I'm guessing he must have sold the rights to the software. Um, but yeah, that was really interesting. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting to do a search this morning and see. I mean, again, the common ones I kind of knew of. I didn't know all of those others that were less common. And it was quite interesting because, again, I didn't look through it fully this morning. But it's quite interesting that oxalates did come up on there, which I didn't know about. I just thought about that just based on Sally Newton's book, Toxic Superfoods, which is really interesting. A lot of what people try for pain actually are good ideas. Stretching, strength work, physio, massage. The problem isn't that those things don't work. It's that they're incomplete on their own. Pain usually comes from a combination of factors across multiple systems. When we address the whole picture, results finally stick. If you want help understanding your full picture, book a discovery call at bodycheck.co.uk/consultation. Now, back to the show. You know, from your experience, apart from the foods that you've spoken about, are there any other kind of natural approaches that you've found to be helpful for people?
When it comes to gout, the popular natural remedies are cherries.
Mm-hmm.
Studies have shown eating 20 cherries, let's say daily, helps with gout.
Mm. Do you
So,
know why? Is there like a specific compound in there or
well,
something?
yeah, it's for the it helps reduce inflammation mainly. Um, I think they're high in antioxidants,
Mm.
anthocyanins, and that's what helps with the inflammation. After that, you've got apple cider vinegar, which is
Mm-hmm.
a superfood, right, for a lot of ailments. But gout sufferers, I take it daily
Mm.
because it helps with the gut, like you said. Uh,
Just have
and
to be careful with some brands of apple cider vinegar because
yes,
they use a pill. You know what a pill is?
no, but you want the one with mother.
So a pill is a product owned by Bill Gates, and
Oh,
it's a toxic wax that they cover the apples in, so that they last, you know, many times longer than the apple should actually last.
so where would you find a product that would not have that in
Well,
the label?
you just have to be very careful and yeah, do your research. Um, but I know
Because in here, North America, Bragg's is very popular.
I'm pretty sure they use a pill.
Mm,
Yeah,
interesting.
because I used to use Bragg's all the time. And when I found, you know, when I heard that they were using apples covered in a pill,
So maybe you have to go
I
with more
switched.
local brands.
Yeah,
Probably you have
possibly,
a better, yeah. That's interesting.
possibly. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So cherries, apple cider
Yeah, apple
vinegar.
cider vinegar helps with breakdown of Purine's digestion. Turmeric,
Mm-hmm.
inflammation. Then you got celery seeds that helps you pee more, so you excrete more uric acid. Milk thistle is more for cleansing the liver,
Mm-hmm.
but it does cleanse a little bit the kidneys. Dandelion extract or dandelions, eating dandelions, which you won't find in too many supermarkets, but I
Mm.
have some local supermarkets where I could purchase them, and that helps cleanse kidneys.
You can get
Uh,
dandelion teas. You can get dandelion
yes, dandelion teas
tinctures
as
as well.
well. Yeah. Um, those are the main more and coffee. I forgot coffee. Coffee has shown to excrete uric acid, so 2 to 3
Mm.
cups a day. Coffee is very popular with gout sufferers. So those are the main top foods I would say go to for gout.
Mm. Yeah, I'm still really intrigued as to whether, you know, heat or cold would help. Because I mean, cold in itself is generally an analgesic, right? So, you know, 12 years ago, I ruptured 2 discs in my spine, and I'm not one for pain relief or anti-inflammatories. So, Yeah, when I went to my GP to get a referral for an MRI scan, he wrote me a prescription and I just put it in his waste paper bin as I left his office because I was never going to take them. But what I did do is I would get ice and I would lay on the ice
Mm,
just
yeah.
so that would bring the pain down. Obviously, again, ice when you've got damage to a tissue like that, obviously cold does slow down the healing process. That's, when you get an injury, what do? You get swelling, you get redness, you get heat. It's part of the healing process. But purely just to help, temporarily with pain, cold can be a really good thing, and it can help, reduce
I've used
inflammation.
it for gout attacks, so it does help.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be interesting to see as well. I mean, I would imagine something like an infrared sauna may make it feel worse. I don't know. But I would imagine in the long term it would help because it has that detoxification effect, which I
Yeah.
think would be beneficial as long as you don't over use it. Don't spend too long in there or too much heat.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could see potentially that helping, but then you also have to make sure you hydrate as well because obviously dehydration
Yes.
is an
Correct.
issue for gout.
Yes.
Awesome. So looking back at your own experience, I mean, how long did you kind of suffer with gout for? So you say you've been kind of gout free for a while now.
I would say the first 10 years because I was experimenting a lot. So in my case, gout is for life.
Mm.
It's not something easy that you could easily cure on your own. Although some gout sufferers write to me that with diet and so on, their changes in their lifestyle, they think they've cured it. But I would say there's a caveat that comes with that. You just don't know if you're going to get another gout attack again in the future. So be careful, tread carefully. But there are cases. In my case, since I have minor thalassemia, it's a condition for life. So I do take medication, but I've gradually lowered the medication from 300 milligrams to 100 milligrams daily. So along with my diet, which complements the entire treatment process, right, exercise, lifestyle, and so on, I've been on that plan and course for the last 8, 9, 10 years around there. So hasn't really affected me. I haven't had any episodes in
So
that time.
what is your kind of overall plan in terms of dietary, exercise, lifestyle? What kind of things do you do on a daily basis to keep it at bay?
Well, I go to the gym 3, 4
Hmm.
times a week. So I do lifting, training, some cardio. I walk a lot. I have a dog, so I walk it twice a day. So that keeps me active. So that's basically the activity end of things. And then the rest is all diet and lifestyle. So I focus on eating meat once a day, 4 to 6 ounces. Majority of my calories are complex carbohydrates. I drink water, coffee, and tea only. That's pretty much it. So I just focus on the diet and exercise and
Mm.
sleep well. Try to get good rest because rest helps, like you mentioned earlier, overall health for a lot of ailments. So getting good night's sleep helps the body be stronger. That's for sure.
Mm. And how much water would you say you get through a day?
How much what?
How much water do you
Oh,
drink a
water
day?
a lot. Listen, in the winter it's less. I would say in the summers it's more. So in the summers easily 12 glasses daily. In the winter probably 8.
Mm. Yeah, because I know it does get hot as well, doesn't it, in Montreal in summer?
Yeah, it gets humid. Yeah, yeah. You could have the same weather as Miami, Florida up here in the summer.
Wow.
It's that
Yeah.
humid. Yeah.
I do remember it because 1976 was it? Was the
Yeah, the Olympics.
Olympics? Yeah. Yeah, that's the first Olympics I remember. I just about remember it. So
Oh wow.
I
Yeah.
remember it being warm that year. It was actually very, very warm in the UK that year. That was
Yeah,
the
I think I've
hottest.
seen a documentary on that, and they were saying that it was a very warm summer. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that
Yeah.
very, very clearly. It was a very, very hot summer. I actually remember in our family home, we used to have water fights and it used to get out of hand. There'd be like full buckets of water, and someone would actually end up coming in the house with a hose, and people would be getting hosed down. That was inside the house, which looking back now is crazy. I don't know how my mum let that happen, but yeah, fond memories.
Those were the days
hot
before
summers.
internet, right? So we had to entertain ourselves. Yeah,
absolutely. Spiro, this has been great, but what's next for you? What have you got in the pipeline?
Oh, nothing much. I just manage my blog, goutandyou.com, answer customer emails, help gout sufferers, be active on social media, on all our social media channels, and that's pretty much it, I would say.
And you've got a book?
Yeah, Gout and You, the Ultimate Gout Diet and Cookbook, that you could find on Amazon, where I outline more specifically the diet that I mentioned earlier of eating 80% of your daily calories as complex carbohydrates, 10% fat and 10% protein. And I give you about 100 recipes to get yourself started. Yeah.
Awesome. So where can people find you online?
Just visit goutandyou.com, sign up for the newsletter, be part of our email list, and that's where I communicate with gout sufferers on the latest studies, the latest findings about gout, and so on. And make sure to follow us on social media. We're available on all the social media handles. Our handle is @GoutAndYou for all social media. And be happy to help you.
Πολλά καλά.
Yeah, ευχαριστώ.
Well, very good. About the only 2 words I know in Greek. Well, no, I know a few more, not too many. Spiro, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a real pleasure. It's been great chatting with you, and it's a really interesting subject as well for me, gout. And yeah, hopefully this is going to really help a few people out there.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So that's it from Spiro and me for this week. But be sure to join me same time, same place next week on Beyond the Pain. Thanks for listening to Beyond the Pain. If this episode resonated, please follow the show, leave a review, or share it with someone you know who's been struggling. And remember, pain is not permanent. With the right insight and support, you can turn it into power. Until next time, stay open, stay strong, and keep moving beyond the pain.